For 5 years, my family let my sister insult my son, so I burned her life down with one sentence. Hi, I'm Mason, 31, and for 5 years I bit my tongue while my older sister poisoned every holiday with one word. Bastard. She spat it at my son like it was his nickname. At birthdays, at Christmas, at Thanksgiving, every time we gathered at our parents' house. She made sure to remind everyone that my kid, my beautiful boy, didn't have a real father, because I wasn't married to his mother when he was born, because she hated that the family screw-up turned single dad, somehow had a happy kid who adored me. Because cruelty is cheaper than therapy, I let it slide for too long. I told myself I was being the bigger person, but the truth is, I was scared. Scared of starting drama, scared of being labeled difficult, scared of losing what little family I had left. Until the day she made my son cry. We were at my parents' house for one of those fake peace Sunday lunches, where everyone smiles through gritted teeth. My sister, Elena, showed up late with her perfect suburban family in tow, husband, 2 kids, smugness baked into her skin. My son, Theo, age 5, and sunshine in a Spider-Man hoodie, was building a Lego tower with her kids in the backyard, and then I heard it. Look at the little bastard playing with the good kids, she said, loud enough for half the table to hear. I stood up. My mom winced. My dad muttered something into his mashed potatoes. Elena, I warned. What? She shrugged. It's technically correct. You never married his mom. That's the definition, isn't it? Theo walked in at that exact moment, clutching a dandelion bouquet. Mommy, flowers for you. She looked at him with dead eyes. Do you know what you are, Theo? Elena, don't. You're a bastard. Because your daddy didn't marry your mommy, and he never will. Theo's face crumpled. He didn't know what the word meant, but he understood cruelty. He ran to me, shaking. Why did she say that, Daddy? And I snapped. I looked at my parents. Are you going to say something? My dad adjusted his glasses. Elena's just direct. My mom sighed. Let's not ruin the meal, Mason. Picked up Theo and turned to Elena. Get out. She blinked. Excuse me. You heard me. You don't get to sit here and humiliate my son and stay. It's not your house, she hissed. No, I said, turning to my parents, but if you don't ask her to leave, we're never coming back. Dead silence, and then my mom actually said it. You're overreacting. That's when I knew I was done. I left, carrying Theo and the crushed dandelions. He sobbed the whole drive home. That night, I started digging. Emails, screenshots, whispers from friends who worked near her office. 2 weeks later, I had everything I needed. Her husband, emotional affair with his assistant, her job, a $2 million mistake she blamed on a coworker who got fired, and Christmas was coming. I didn't want revenge. I wanted justice, but I knew Elena would never shut up on her own. So I made sure she'd never open her mouth again. Christmas came like it always did, too bright, too fake, too full of tension disguised as cheer. We were back at my parents' house. The tree was lit, the roast was dry, and the room smelled like cinnamon and denial. Theo clung to my leg like Velcro, still wary from what happened weeks ago. Elena arrived late, of course. Red dress, big smile, fake as a $3 bill. Her husband, Eric, followed like a trained pet. Their kids looked like catalog models. And just like that, the performance began. David made honor roll, she announced, kissing cheeks and handing out gifts like a politician. And Isabella's learning Mandarin. We believe in pushing potential early. Then her eyes landed on Theo. A pause, a smirk. I saw her gearing up for another little poison dart. Not today. Not ever again. I let dinner pass in strained politeness. Theo sat by my side the whole time, quiet, but watching. Elena bragged. My parents nodded. No one mentioned what happened. That's how it always was. Family peace built on silence and selective memory. But after dessert, I stood up. I'd like to share something. Elena laughed. Fork midair. Oh, is Theo finally speaking in full sentences? Laughter from someone. Not me. I held up my phone. Actually, I wanted to talk about Eric. The room stilled. Elena's fork dropped. She narrowed her eyes. What about Eric? I swiped. This. And I read. You make me feel alive again. When can we get dinner without the lie of work? Her smile shattered like glass on tile. I turned the screen so everyone could see. Screenshots. Dozens. Late-night messages. Emotional affairs are still affairs when your wife doesn't know. Eric turned white. Lucia, what the hell, there's more, I said, turning to Elena. Like how you blamed your coworker Mark for the failed campaign. Got him fired. Cost your company $2 million. Elena stood. You're lying. Then you won't mind this. I dropped the printouts on the coffee table. Emails. Timestamps. Her approval signature. Mark is a friend of a friend. He sent everything. You went digging into my life? She screamed. You spent 5 years tearing mine apart in front of my child, I said. You called him a bastard in front of everyone, and no one stopped you. This is me stopping you, Eric stood. I need air. No, Elena pleaded. Wait, he left. Just walked out. The kids stared, wide-eyed. My parents sat frozen. I looked at my mother. You let her humiliate Theo for years. Do you still think I'm overreacting? No answer. My uncle, bless him, finally muttered. About time someone shut her up. Elena was shaking now. You ruined me. You ruined yourself, I said quietly. I just held up a mirror. I picked up Theo. We're leaving. But this time, you'll remember why. Elena didn't speak. She didn't need to. Because for the first time in 5 years, she finally had nothing left to say. 3 days after Christmas, Elena's life began collapsing in slow motion. Eric filed for separation. Quietly, but decisively. His lawyer sent the papers to her office, which turned out to be the worst timing possible. Because 2 hours later, HR called her in. She'd been reported. Anonymous tip, they said, showing her the documents I'd sent. The campaign disaster, the falsified blame, the clear negligence with proof. She was fired by the end of the day. My phone rang at 9:42 p.m. You ruined my life, she spat, her voice raw and shaking. I defended my son, I replied. If you want to call that ruining your life, maybe you should think about why it was so easy. Click. For a moment, I felt satisfied. But it didn't last. Because the fallout wasn't just hers. It started spreading like cracks in a windshield. First came the cousins. Whispering. Gossiping. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion. Some blamed me, said I'd gone too far. Others cheered quietly. Good for you, one cousin texted. She needed a wake-up call. But kids don't understand justice, they just feel the tremors. David and Isabella were pulled from their private school within weeks. Elena couldn't afford the tuition anymore. The other kids started asking questions. Why did your dad leave? Why did your mom get fired? Children repeat what they hear. And Theo heard plenty. In the schoolyard. In whispers. Your mom ruined Christmas. Your family's all messed up. He started acting out. Talking back. Throwing tantrums. One night he asked, Daddy, it my fault? My heart broke. No, Theo, I said, kneeling in front of him. None of this is your fault. Aunt Elena was mean because she was unhappy. And sometimes, grown-ups forget to be kind. But his eyes said he didn't believe me. Meanwhile, my mother called every week. Same tone. Same script. You need to apologize to Elena. She's struggling. She needs to apologize to my son first. I'd say, don't be dramatic. Mason, this is tearing the family apart. No, it had been torn apart for years. They just hadn't noticed until it stopped being silent. Even my job felt the tremors. My boss pulled me aside. Everything okay at home? What do you mean? Just social media chatter. Clients asking questions. Apparently, family drama made great gossip for small-town professionals. I wasn't fired, but I was warned. Discretion. Optics. All that. And the worst part. Theo stopped asking about family visits. Stopped asking about holidays. He started saying, can we just stay home this year? And I realized my revenge had stopped Elena, but it hadn't protected Theo. It had just exposed him to a different kind of storm. Thought I'd won, but what I'd really done was detonate a grenade in the middle of a fragile house, and we were all coughing in the smoke. 3 months after the Christmas explosion, the dust still hadn't settled. Theo was quieter, not in that dreamy, lost in his own world way. This was different. This was a kid holding something heavy inside, too young to name it. He'd wake up crying, not screaming, just crying, like his dreams were gray. He started clinging again during drop-offs, bedtime, even while brushing his teeth. And when I asked what was wrong, he said, People say our family's broken. I pulled him into my arms. Families aren't broken because they're different, buddy. They're broken when people stop being kind. Are we broken? I didn't answer, because I wasn't sure. Meanwhile, my mom doubled down on her campaign to guilt me into reconciliation. Elena's suffering, she kept saying like it was breaking news. She's depressed. Can't find a job. You humiliated her. She spent 5 years humiliating my kid, I said. Why was that never a concern? Because she was going through things, and I wasn't. Silence. Then came the kicker. She wants to meet. Just you and her. No family. Hesitated. Was this a trap? Another manipulation? A pity play? But then I looked at Theo, sitting on the floor trying to glue a paper heart back together after it tore. Okay, I said. Tell her I'll meet. We chose a neutral cafe. Public enough to stay civil, quiet enough to talk. She arrived in jeans and a hoodie. No makeup, no performance, just Elena, and she looked like hell, bags under her eyes, fingers shaking around a chipped coffee cup. Thanks for coming, she said. I nodded. You said you wanted to talk. She stared at the table. I'm sorry, I waited. Nothing followed. No defense. No twist, she continued, voice cracking. Called Theo a bastard because I was angry. At life. At you. At myself. Why? Because you had something I didn't. I blinked. Like what? I was a broke single dad living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, she said, eyes glassy. But you were loved. Theo looks at you like you're his whole world. And you don't fake anything. You're real. That hit harder than I expected. She wiped her eyes. I was jealous. And I took it out on your son. I was awful. You were cruel, I said quietly. To a child, I know. She looked up, finally meeting my eyes. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just needed you to hear it. From me. Not through our parents. Not filtered. Just me. I sat in silence, trying to breathe past the weight in my chest. I accept your apology, I said. But we're not going back to before. Ever. I wouldn't expect that, she whispered. We talked for over an hour. Not as siblings, but as two very damaged people. Finally putting down the knives, we agreed on one thing. The kids came first now. That meant no more snide comments. No more secrets. No more pretending. Cold peace, maybe. But peace nonetheless. When I got home that night, Theo was asleep on the couch with his blanket half off and a Lego stuck to his cheek. I kissed his forehead. We're gonna be okay, I whispered, but I wasn't sure who I was trying to convince. The next family gathering felt like walking into a minefield barefoot. It was my mom's birthday. She insisted on hosting something small, just cake and coffee, which of course turned into a full dinner with 14 people, 2 screaming toddlers. Intentions so thick you could butter bread with it. Theo clutched my hand at the door. Is Aunt Elena gonna be mean again? I knelt down to his level. She promised not to. And I promised I'd protect you. Always. He nodded, but didn't let go of my hand until we were inside. Elena was already there, dressed down again. Not her usual, I'm thriving presentation. She saw Theo and offered a cautious smile. Hi Theo, he blinked. Hi, that was it. No hug. No kiss on the cheek. But no flinch either. Progress. The dinner itself was quiet. Everyone trying too hard to sound normal. My aunt talked about her garden. My uncle told the same golf story twice. Elena made small talk with the cousin about job hunting. No one brought up Christmas. But the silence around it was so loud it made your ears ring. After dessert, I took Theo outside for air. He kicked gravel in the driveway while I checked my phone. Then, out of nowhere, he said, I think she's different. I looked up. Who? Aunt Elena. She didn't say anything mean. Not even when I dropped my fork. It was true. She hadn't said a word. She's trying, I said. And trying is hard for grown-ups too. Are we still mad at her? Not mad. Just careful. That seemed to sit well with him. He picked up a stick and started drawing wobbly hearts in the dirt. Inside, the family dynamic had shifted. No more pretending Elena was flawless. No more brushing things under the rug. People finally looked a little more human. 3 weeks later, Elena got a new job. Not as fancy as the last customer insights manager at a mid-size furniture brand, but it paid the bills. She texted me, thanks for not torching every bridge. I know I didn't deserve that. I replied, it wasn't for you. It was for Theo. A month after that, Eric officially divorced her. She didn't cry, not in front of us, but you could tell it cracked something inside. Still, she kept showing up every birthday, every barbecue, polite, quiet, careful, and over time, Theo softened too. He'd say, "Hi," without being prompted, sit near her during cake, even let her help him find his lost shoe once. Never close, but not afraid, and for me, that was enough. I didn't need revenge anymore. I needed peace, and more than that I needed my kid to feel safe in rooms where he used to shrink. That was the new rule. No more shrinkle. Not for me. For him, not for anyone. Spring came like a reset button. New light, new air, new boundaries. Theo started therapy play-based sessions with a soft-spoken woman named Dr. Elise, who knew exactly how to talk to 5-year-olds without sounding like she was talking down to them. After the second session, Theo came home with a picture he drew, a big house, a small boy, and a stick figure with spiky hair labeled, "The Bad Mouth Lady." "She doesn't have a mouth anymore," he told me, grinning. I erased it. I laughed. But not because it was funny. Because it was healing. He was taking back control, in the only way a 5-year-old knows how, through crayons and imagination. Meanwhile, family gatherings slowly resumed. They were smaller now, trimmed down, more tolerable. We saw Elena maybe once a month, always in group settings. She followed the truce religiously, never commented on my parenting, never made a joke at Theo's expense. Instead, she stuck to neutral topics: weather, TV shows, how her cat was afraid of cucumbers. Theo started calling her an E, again short, casual, no emotion attached, just a name. One night, after a particularly calm dinner at my parents' place, he tugged my sleeve on the drive home. "She's nicer now," he said. "But I still don't want to hug her." "That's okay," I said. "You don't have to hug anyone you don't feel safe with." He nodded like that was the most obvious truth in the world, and honestly, it should be. Meanwhile, Elena's life was in full rebuild mode. She moved into a modest apartment on the other side of town, started carpooling her kids to public school, even asked me once, awkwardly, if Theo wanted to come over for a playdate with David and Isabella. I said no, not out of spite, out of protection. We weren't there yet, maybe never would be, but it didn't mean I wanted her to fail, not anymore. Because failure meant more pain for the kids, for Theo, for all of them, and I was tired of all the kids paying for the adults' messes. A year after the Christmas that cracked everything open, my mother finally said the words I'd waited too long to hear. "We should have stopped her years ago." I didn't say, "I told you so." I just nodded. Then she added, "Can you ever forgive us for not defending Theo?" I looked at her, old, small, sad in a way that crept behind the eyes, and I said, "Eventually," because it was true. It started to let go of the truth, but of the poison, of the need to win, of the part of me that needed Elena ruined to feel like justice had been served. Theo didn't need a ruined aunt, he needed a safe father, and that had become my entire purpose, letting him be a kid. Again one day, one family dinner, one drawing at a time. It was a sunny Sunday in late May when the final test came, not planned, not expected, just life doing what it always does, surprising you when you think you've got everything under control. Theo had been invited to David's birthday party. Yes, that David, Elena's son, the cousin who used to parrot the same words his mother did, who once told Theo, "My dad stayed, yours didn't." But things had changed, or so I hoped. Theo was hesitant. "Do I have to go?" he asked, clutching the invitation like it might bite him. "No," I said. "But David asked for you specifically. He even drew your name on the cake box." Theo squinted. "What kind of cake?" "Chocolate." He thought about it. "Will Auntie be there?" "She will, but she promised she'd be nice. Remember the truce?" He nodded. So we went. The party was in a park, nothing fancy. Balloons tied to a picnic table, cake with crooked lettering, juice boxes sweating in the sun. Typical kid chaos. Elena was there, setting up chairs, directing a pin the tail on the dragon game. When she saw us, she smiled, not the too wide, "Look at me" grin of the past. A soft, careful smile. "Hi, Theo," she said gently. "I'm really glad you came." Theo didn't hide behind me. He just nodded and walked toward David, who ran up holding 2 foam swords. You wanna be the knight or the dragon? And just like that, they were off, running, laughing, chasing each other through grass and sunlight like nothing bad had ever happened. I stayed back, watching. Elena approached me slowly. "Thanks for bringing him." "He asked about the cake," I said. "Chocolate won him over," she laughed. "Smart kid." Then she got quiet. "Look, I know we'll never be close again. I don't expect that. But I just wanted to say thank you." "For what?" "For not keeping him away. For giving me a chance to be better." I looked at her. No makeup, no armor, just a tired woman trying to fix what she broke. "I didn't do it for you," I said. "I know." She nodded. Then she asked something I didn't expect. "Would it be okay if I said something to him? Just one-on-one?" I hesitated. She saw it. "I won't say anything weird. I promise. I just want to tell him I was wrong." I nodded once. "I'll be nearby." She walked over to Theo, knelt beside him while he examined a crushed juice box like it was a science experiment. I couldn't hear what she said. But Theo listened, really listened, and when she finished, he nodded. He didn't hug her, but he didn't walk away either. Later, in the car, I asked, "What didn't he say?" He shrugged. "She said sorry, and that I didn't do anything wrong, that she was mean 'cause she was sad inside." Do you believe her? "I think so, but I still don't want to hug her." Smile. "That's okay." He leaned his head on the window. "But I didn't feel scared this time." That was it. The final test passed, not with balloons, or cake, or some dramatic apology, but with the 5-year-old boy who finally didn't feel scared in the presence of someone who once made him cry, and that was everything. A year and a half after the Christmas blow-up, the house feels quiet again, not tense, not shattered, just quiet, peaceful. Theo still asks questions sometimes. Kids always do, even after the storm has passed. "Why didn't Elena call me that name? Was it because I didn't have a daddy?" I answer the same way every time. Calmly, clearly. Because truth heals better than silence. "No, buddy. She called you that because she was hurting and didn't know how to handle it. But that was never your fault." Never. He doesn't flinch when we go to family gatherings now. He doesn't grip my hand like it's a life raft. He runs to the snack table, stacks cookies to high, tries to juggle juice boxes. He's 5, almost 6. And finally allowed to just be a kid. That's the real victory. Not the receipts I pulled, not the silence I forced on Elena, not even the apology. It's this, the steady rhythm of normal. Elena and I keep our cold truce. We speak when needed, nod when passing, trade logistics like coworkers in the break room. Her kids are fine, not untouched, but healing in their own ways. David still calls Theo his game buddy. Isabella brings him stickers. We'll never be close, but we're functional, and that's more than I thought possible. My parents, though, that's trickier. They never fully apologized. Not really. They said the usual lines. "We didn't know how bad it was. We were just trying to keep the peace." But peace built on silence isn't peace. It's pressure, and pressure always bursts. I still go to dinners. I still bring Theo, but I sit with my spine a little straighter, and I speak with less hesitation. They see it. They know they lost something permanent the day they chose comfort over courage. I haven't cut them off, but I've redrawn the map. I protect my son now, not just from insults, but from environments that teach him to swallow pain to make others comfortable. And in doing that, I think I finally learned to protect myself too. There's no big bow to tie on the story. No perfect ending. Just life moving forward. Elena got a new job, less pay, more hours. But she's keeping it. Eric remarried, ironically, to the assistant he was once just confiding in. Elena says she's fine. I believe her, mostly. And me? I'm raising Theo. I'm showing him what respect looks like in real time. I'm making pancakes on Saturdays and helping him with the shoelaces and letting him make a mess when he paints. I'm no hero, but I'm present. And after everything, that might be the greatest revenge of all. Not bitterness, not ruin, but a calm, joyful life no one can take credit for but me and my son. The kid they once called a bastard, who now knows without a shred of doubt that he is deeply loved, fiercely protected, and never, ever alone.